Thank you everyone for joining. This is the VetsInTech August Entrepreneur Christian Panel event. We have Jonathan.
Hi everybody, how are you? Give a little introduction. My name is Jonathan Milkey. I Army for 5 years, did a little bit of strategic, did a little bit of tactical, from SOC Corps in Korea to 7th Group. Got out of the Army, couldn't really figure it out, fell into tech. Was on a product team building out a platform that did threat detection off social media, then fell into corporate sales and did pretty well. So really just ended up joining VetsInTech, learned from Donald and learned from Catherine, and really just give back to the community and see what I can do to help other veterans like myself. That's me in a nutshell. So yeah.
We have Stefan, who has been lucky enough to invest into my startup as well.
Privilege.
Privilege.
Hi, I'm Stefan Recchi. I graduated in New York, grew up in Washington Heights, went to high school in the Bronx Science. My relationship to vets would be my dad was a prisoner of the war back in World War II, before World War II. Never served, but I did volunteer for the Coast Guard. So. I run an angel group. The thing about our angel group is we have 45 investors. It's trust-based. Most of us went to high school together. We have a lot of fun. And we invest in things that are not stupid, people that are cool. Let's talk more about that. Maybe, yeah, as we listen to your pitches.
How would you
Okay. People that are cool?
Sure.
Okay. I just managed to be blessed by a couple of cool exits. Personally, I was in sales for 20 years and had some really cool exits and have some financial capacity to help seed the entrepreneurial world. I'm also focused on space, going together a global entrepreneurship network for space.
Space Force.
Space. Well, space. There's a lot of cool shit in space that is the next wave of being involved in the internet in the 70s. That's what I'm involved with. I do a lot of work with space.
So you're working on the sequel to Space Force 2?
Yeah. Space Force.
Yeah.
All in all, I love giving back in terms of mentoring. I'm a board member of a bunch of our investment portfolio companies, advisor. I also teach at Colorado, University of Denver. I teach people how to do presentations. So, not to put any pressure on you. I also teach sales. So it's all about fun, right? And if you're not having fun, I do it. That's maybe my philosophy.
So Steph has been integral to our company in meeting people, getting hardware vendors, and a bunch of other shit. So as a founder, I ask all of our investors a lot. Constantly pushing them to help me solve my hard problems. So.
And you should. So the other thing I do is I go around the world teaching entrepreneurs how to work with investors. There's like a secret code language that the investors use, and I think it's bullshit. I really think that if the entrepreneur doesn't know how to sell to the investor or understand how the investor thinks, so my pitch, you can probably find it online somewhere, is when an entrepreneur speaks, what I hear is an investor. And it's amazingly well received because I'll challenge, no offense to accelerators or incubators, most accelerators and incubators don't have the investor mentality in terms of teaching them how to work with the investor. It's not about making a pretty slide, it's about how do you make that sale happen, how do you close that deal. And that's what I love doing. So I'm all happy to tell you all the secrets of why investors invest too. So.
Definitely happy to piggyback on that. Hey guys, sweet. Basically spent the past 10 years of my career all around the world. Consumer, later stage investing, early stage investing. My relationship to military, service, civilian, but the world of West Point and military academy is actually in my blood. Go to school my entire life. My father, he was running a business from close business friends. I was a retired corporal, Colonel, over at West Point, and thanks to that, he was actually got the blessed opportunity to teach the kids economics as a professor at West Point. So thanks to that, yeah. So it was pretty awesome. He doesn't ever talk about that, which is kind of amazing. coolest things that I can say is like cadets on West Point. And thanks to that, I grew up around the cadets, at like dining halls, mess halls, like doing basic training, working with jamborees, unfortunately partaking in some of the IOCT. That was not fun, but fun, of course. Yeah, obviously very tortured. So I have a lot of very, very, very deep respect and love and admiration for the military, personally. So, and when Donald, who I've helped in the past when he was starting out mental path and everything in the past couple of years, asked me to come help judge the panel, I immediately, of course, because it's the least that I can do, especially for what I believe veterans really able to give to this ecosystem, and I think that more and more investors across the community need to see that, and it's getting better as well with organizations like VetsInTech, Labs, and so forth. So again, 10 years, first 5 years was in private equity consulting, so consulting from the later stage side of companies, focusing mostly on the local consumer. My background is in biomedical engineering, focused on biomechanics, so synthetics, robotics, environment, private equity, consumer. Question, but the firm started and run by engineers. So pretty awesome to work alongside practicing your craft and working with a lot of amazing companies, especially in the general space. Transition to the startup world, 2017, helped a dev shop basically just do business stuff until I met my person with my now boss at Provincial. So then we started the venture capital firm together, a consumer products focused VC firm called Brand Foundry. It's also based here in the New York office. So I was there for 3.5 years from the beginning of 2014 to last August. It focuses on seed investments, early stage investments in the local consumer products. Companies you may know, Warby Parker, Birchbox, Harry's, Peloton, all day more cousins. Companies like Aldridge, companies like Lola, Rockets Boston, The Wing, like one of the most successful consumer startups. I'm now working on helping startups on the side as I'm working for my next move. I'm also then currently the VC residence over at Galvanize, the place that we're sitting here. I see Chase in the corner, he's going to talk about it. It's an organization in a space that you should absolutely consider spending time in, events, co-working, so on and so forth, because it's an amazing network of people from large corporates and venture-backed startups and people in between, plus it's 50,000 member feet, which is a bonus. But it's just a great community. I'm really excited to just to see how I can be helpful. Plus, we have to figure out how we're going to do this, but I'm giving away something that's in this little container. It's basically a faded, like stars and stripes style of the U.S. Constitution. It was given to me from my friends over at Huckberry. Huckberry is this amazing deal site with some of the most cool products that you can find around the world. And I thought that this would be pretty pertinent for an opportunity for a giveaway because, again, people in service, you're awesome, y'all are awesome, and I'm really looking forward to this.
Make a play for it.
Cage match. Yeah, exactly.
That's awesome. So we're also going to bring our friends from the set up.
Yep.
And they're offering a fantastic military discount, which we have to talk about, but I'm sure they are.
Yeah. I guess we should say.
50% military discount?
Of course, no. Well, I'll give you guys a rundown. Ascent, it's a 2-day tech conference in New York City. Really what we're here to do is support VetsInTech. One of our VPs, Carlos, did his arranger, came forward. Yeah, and we're here to represent that, but mainly Ascent. We're bringing together 2,000 people total, 200 startups, a bunch of investors, angel VCs. It's invite only, really. So that's why we're here. Anybody who's interested in either attending or, there are any startup here that would like to get in front of the investors. We definitely talk and come see us afterward. It's going to be a great event. So October 3rd and 4th, New York City is here for this. So yes.
Another thing, a lot of guests will be eligible for it. There's going to be an app you can download. You can actually set a time slot with a VC or an investor. So you'll be able to get a lot of one-on-one time with people in your particular vertical. So if you're in fintech, if you're a consumer goods, no matter what it is, you'll actually be able to get someone who invests in that vertical. So it's going to be an interesting time, a lot of people, and good opening night gala is going to be there as well, so free booze. Yeah.
Shit like that.
Got the right crowd.
And I think you'll research, sure, yeah, definitely. Like you mentioned, our VP, he couldn't make it tonight until Sterling was an Army Marine thing told us, so I say thank you as well. Yeah.
Terrence?
Yeah, Terrence. Sometimes they go by Chase. No problem. I'll just say briefly, hello and welcome. For those of you who are new, especially welcome. And for those of you who are from other places and back here again, welcome back. So we already mentioned we were what we do here. So I'll keep it brief. We have education programs in web development and data science. We're running some part-time programs. We are home over 50 venture-backed startups. Techstars New York City Accelerator Program, female founders fund, university ventures, IBM Thought for Launch, Investors, Innovation Lab, and Partridge Architecture. So, we're absolutely honored and privileged to have VetsInTech in our space, and we love supporting these events moving forward. Every time the Donald comes back, and please, let me get out of the way so you guys can do what you came to do. Welcome you.
Thank you guys. Gala, awesome. Cheers. Thursday last week I was at Galvanize VetsInTech event. So they're awesome. Of course, we're going to let me into the end.
Sure.
All right. So it's going to be 2-minute verbal pitch with about a minute or so question and answer round. If the panel does not have questions, the crowd can then ask questions as well. So, yeah, you first?
Am I?
All right, let's begin.
Good.
Yeah, you get an extra 30 minutes.
30 minutes. Cool. And I get a microphone?
This is being live streamed though. So
No.
for the thousands of fans.
Thousands of fans out there? Sweet. And I'm operating without a deck, even better.
Decks are not important.
Decks are not important, for sure. Here, I can get it.
There you go.
Here.
Stick that in.
We'll figure it out.
Just stick a whole thing in your pocket.
Okay. All right. So we're good? All right, everybody. Hi. My name is Dan Evans. I'm the founder of Storm King Analytics. I'm going to give you a quick introduction to a platform that we're developing right now. We actually have a working prototype called Vumbua, which is Swahili for discover. Quick background. So I'm a retired Army officer. I was an infantry officer, operations research analyst. My last job in the Army, I taught economics at West Point. So we may have crossed paths somewhere. We'll have to figure that out. I was fortunate. The idea that I'm briefing was actually born at West Point. So I ended up working at a research center after I retired that studies the math behind terrorism networks. And as part of this work, I ended up spending the majority, of the last 5 or 6 years on the African continent. So I spent a lot of time looking at networks in terms of economic development, startup ecosystems, humanitarian assistance, disaster response type missions, and using this emerging science in order to develop better decisions for military leaders. Along the way, light bulb happened. I'm constantly in Africa and I see the potential, and I start to meet really interesting people in hotel bars, airports, and there was a trend. They are investors and business people who are wandering around the continent without a map, trying to figure out who they needed to know. And I heard this constant refrain. I don't have any information. I don't know who I need to go. I keep hiring these people. I waste a lot of money and I get no results. So a light bulb went off, speaking to a guy who's become a friend of mine who invests in West Africa. And the light bulb that went off was the math that we're developing to determine which terrorists we're going to take out tonight is the exact same math that you can use to determine who we're going to take out for dinner the next time we're in Lagos. Different data, same math. So as I started to talk to commercial companies, investors, private equity firms, I sensed there was some interest. So we did some initial work, mostly government work still, but we did a couple initial commercial projects and another light bulb went off in my head. This is a repeatable process. So the same data I collect for one company, I can sell to another company. And then what I started to notice was the software we were using was horrendous. It didn't allow us to pivot on the fly. It didn't allow us to do interesting things. I was working for a general in Djibouti, another garden spot. He asked me a what-if question. We couldn't do it right away. So I said, you know what? We can do better. So we developed a SaaS platform based off of the analytics that the leading counterterrorism in the world use that allow investors and businesses connect to the right people in frontier and emerging markets. And we've built it on a web-based platform. When we're talking to people in the defense field, we call it Palantir for people without PhDs. It's the opposite of Palantir. It works in a browser. It gives the user very clear information. We identify the signal and the noise, and it's very easy to use. And it doesn't require a consultant. It doesn't require proprietary information. And the key to this whole thing that makes it work is our operational experience. So my core team is 9 people. 7 of the 9 are veterans. The one who's not a veteran, she's actually a former CIA operator. Her husband is a vet, still in the Navy. And the one lone person is an Oxford PhD who does a lot of our back-end analytics. So I got 3 PhDs on my team, 2 are vets. And what we really focus on, what that the other people in this field aren't doing, is we're fusing science and art. So we had the science, but we take into account the cultural and historical implications of the ecosystem we're looking at. So what we're looking at is, I just finished a problem in Zimbabwe that we were doing some work for the US government, and we really needed to understand the clan structure in Zimbabwe to understand Zimbabwe. We just also did a project in Liberia recently, and I just came from a meeting talking to some people about another project in Liberia where we had to understand the tribal structure. We had to understand which families supported which groups during the ongoing civil war. So we incorporate these cultural aspects with the science. So we call it smart data. So we provide accurate, actionable data sets into our browser. So right now we're talking to private equity firms, mostly hedge funds, but we also think that the platform is robust enough to do other types of complex data as well. So that's where we kind of have this idea about Palantir for people without PhDs. And that's my pitch.
Dan, I know that there's a little bit of a slight behind as you can't, you don't have your...
Yeah, it's a very visual thing.
If you don't mind walking me through, I'm very familiar with Palantir,
Yeah.
obviously, but can you walk me through your UI? So if I were to log into your web-based platform,
Sure.
What would I do? What would I get? What
Sure.
would I need to fill in?
Okay, and I can show you on our demo in a little bit, but basically what it is, it's an intuitive interface. Right now it has 3 drop-downs. So you identify the continent, the country, the sector, click the button, and you get an interactive network diagram that allows you to self-explore, and we highlight all the key people and groups that you should know based on the background. So our goal was to make it very simple, and we're still working on it a bit, but some of the initial feedback I got from one of our first customer discovery interviews was, I'd like one of my analysts to be able to use it in the shop. Give me 80% accuracy now, and I want them to enjoy using it. I want them to smile while they use it. So that's our goal, is to our user interface. So right now it includes, when you click on a particular piece of information, a baseball card opens up that has information about the person, all the things, why they're important, and and we give you a top 10 list. And we have a couple of innovative visualizations we've developed as well.
And then my second follow-up question real quick is, after they find that, I guess, Spiderweb Network or individual
Sure.
that they might want to contact, do they then come to you and ask you to make the connection, or do they do it themselves?
Well, that's our thought was initially we give the customer enough information that they can come back to us with much more focused, targeted questions, so we could have more customized engagements if we need to, or maybe it's just enough information because built into the platform, for instance, if we tell you you need to know the following 5 people, you can also identify within the visualization who you might already know, and it gives you the optimal path between them. And kind of the example I've been using is a lot of product out there right now is a telephone book. So there's a couple of potential competitors we know that have produced telephone books. What we do is we identify who you need to know in the telephone book. A telephone book works well if I know I'm looking for you. But if I don't know I'm looking for you, it does me no good. So what we do is we basically bookmark and say, this is the person you need to know, and give you some options about the best way to get to know them. And then later on, based off of some government work that we're doing, so on the government side, we've done some additional work on this, where we're talking about intervening in networks in order to create desired outcomes. So we're going to be giving, it's a decision recommendation engine based off of how do you outmaneuver your competition.
Quick summary, have you made any revenue and are you raising money?
All of our revenue right now comes from the more traditional consulting side. The software, I just had a meeting last week with some attorneys. We're spinning it out into a separate C Corp, and we're going kind of through the Steve Blank traditional 4 steps to epiphany model. We're talking to potential customers, trying to make sure that we address. And one of the things we noticed, or we discovered recently, was there's some other verticals that we didn't know that people have interest, particularly speaking with some people about KYC and AML compliance. Okay.
Good time for it?
Sure.
So financial question, are you looking for money?
Yes.
How much?
So we have a SIBR in right now. We're waiting on that. So in the meantime, we've gotten a lot of traction over the last couple months. So we're looking right now for $500,000 pre-seed. Just talking to the attorney about getting smart on safes. And yeah, we want to keep the traction going. And our thought was we should find out about the SIBR in November, December. And based off of where we are then, we can reassess whether we need to raise more money. Obviously, the SIBR is a kind of a no-brainer to take if it's offered.
And what are you going to do with money?
So we're going to build the next version of the platform. The other thing that we learned from the KYC discussion I'm going to be in Geneva talking to some bankers at the end of the month who have some interest in this, was we need to improve our data collection. So one of my team members who's a PhD in computer science has an idea about creating what we've called a collaborative machine-human data ingest tool. So it involves some machine learning and some web scraping, but it also fuses this art and science. So the ability to pull in data more quickly than we do now, but with a human expert who double checks the scrape. The other people I've spoken to about scraping, their results have been not useful for me. So what we want to do is build those 2 pieces, and then we have a targeted list of marketing events.
Quick, just 15 seconds, overall good pitch. I think that you just took a lot of time pushing on the story and
Yeah.
I understand that there's a lot of different things to tell on how this kind of came to be in the past, especially for just, but there's really power in terms of the origination of the data sets and data driven. I think that what's just important is butting it up into 2 minutes where it's a third of the story, a third where you are, because you mentioned you have some traction, you have some pilots, you have some programs, and then you get to the last part, then we're raising $500,000
Sure.
to get to this next level, let's continue traction and go from there. So just overall the pitch, we got kind of to cover it all time frame, but try to work with that.
Awesome. Sure enough. Cool. Thank you.
So this is being live streamed?
So yeah, I'm here doing the live stream, although that my business is not doing a live stream per se. And I tell you, I got really scared when I saw you were going to be here. Because last time I saw you, I threw up right in front of you. I don't know if you remember that. I remember that. And I was like, yay, Smeet's going to be here. He's going to remember that time that, oh, we don't want to talk about it. I just got really sick that day. And I don't know. It wasn't you. I'm just telling you, it wasn't you. It was all me. So my name is Michael Holt. I'm here to talk about Real Broadcasting Company. And so, you go home after a hard day's work, a hard day at a startup for all of us. You go home, you plop down on the couch, you turn on the TV, you turn on ABC, CBS, whatever it may be. You watch the Kardashians, for the umpteenth time. You figure out what Chloe's doing, or for us geeks, you're watching Silicon Valley. For sure, if it's in season, you're watching that. But, far and wide, TV hasn't changed in 50 years. I mean, at all. maybe they change the way they put in ads. Maybe it's 15 minutes a day of ads for every hour versus what they did 50 years ago, which was probably 5 minutes of ads per every hour. But all in all, TV hasn't changed at all. So you say, well, I want to go watch a live stream. Okay, so you open up YouTube, you open up Facebook Live. Before you're telling me about your wedding. I would love to go watch weddings, especially if you did yours on the beach. I'm a fan of beach weddings, love it. But how can I go find it? It's impossible to go find that unless I know you personally and am part of your Facebook feed. Say, okay, well, I can't watch the live feed. What am I going to do? Okay, well, shoot, I'll just go to Netflix and Hulu. Well, I watch a movie, it's great, and then when it's over, what happens? I got to go and find another movie. It just doesn't play like TV does. How can we pull all those things together? So we come up with a platform, Real Broadcasting Company, that we combine all those technologies together. This is not something brand new. We've taken these technologies like an Apple has and taken these technologies that are awesome in themselves and put them together, making one platform. So we have television, internet channels that play 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And so for the broadcaster that owns the channel, for instance, I have 2 customers right now, I just happen to be churches, they own these channels, and they play 24 hours of broadcasting scheduled down to the minute. And so whether you're in Japan or Taiwan or United States, you're watching the exact same thing that somebody else in Korea is watching at the exact same time. And so let's say it's come along Sunday morning, it's time for church, they flip the switch, they go live, the channel automatically switches to live. Your viewer doesn't have to go anywhere else, go find your live stream, it just happens. Say, hey, we're live now, we're really live now actually. And so then they broadcast and then they turn their live switch off, it goes back to whatever the schedule is, which comes in really handy for quite a few reasons. One, you could schedule a commercial in the background so they could stop going live, the commercial would play that's pre-scheduled, then they go back live again, and it's like having a whole back-end broadcaster in your backyard. For a viewer, I can search my site, this site, by location, category, and keyword. Where can you find a live stream by location today? You can't. It's impossible. So that's one of the reasons why I built that into my platform. So what we've done is we've taken all these synergies, put them together into one platform, into one place that nobody has to go and search the internet far and wide to find content to consume for live. And that's Real Broadcasting Company.
So again, on the investment side, are you looking for money and what are you going to use it for and where's it going?
Just started a couple weeks ago looking for money. I've been the one-man band for all this time. The platform, you go online, I built the whole thing. So, it's time for me to get out from behind the computer and go talk to people. Although I have a really hard time doing that, you can tell I'm kind of shy. So, just get some help. Go hire a couple of engineers, maybe a front end, a back end engineer, sales and marketing people, just the works to get the business off the ground and started. That's what I need. And I need a partner to go help me. I actually started this business, long story short, with a partner who wanted to work about 10 hours for every 100 hours I put in. Didn't work. We went our separate ways. So that's kind of why I'm by myself now. And what you see is what we built. But I think it's the future, for sure. And I totally believe in it, and it's a passion.
What excites you the most about the future of the business? Is it the technology and the broadcasting systems itself that you can activate so easily that you can then position out to potentially new clients and things? Or is it just how consumers themselves are able to tap into this and watch really anything or schedule thing as well? What excites you more about the business? Or is there something else that you
Actually, it's both things. In my past, I've been live streaming. That's how I've been eating for the past 3 years or so. So I've been in that business side of it, and I really wanted a platform of my own to live stream. And then on the other side of it, as a broadcaster, so you have one channel. If you're on Facebook Live, that's crazy because nobody can find where your live streams are, and they're watched very little because nobody knows where to go find them. So my favorite part of it, get back to your question, is taking television, this tried and true technology, and moving it into the future. Me, the 45 to 48-year-old age group watching TV, it hasn't changed. It's what we want. My kid, 14 years old, it's punishment for me to get her to watch TV. It's like, Dad, I want to spend time with you. Why don't I watch TV? That's okay. I've got other things to do. So now we finally got a platform we can put everything together and bring television into today instead of being what the past was. My goal is to change it into the future. I don't know if you've been up or not. You remember a person named Meg Whitman? HB, yeah. She just announced a company called New TV. They just announced $1 billion in funding. About 80% of what they announced is what my platform does. It blew me away. I was flattered and then scared to death all at the same time. Yeah, so.
Well, it definitely shows proof of concepts because every single studio is invested.
It's going to happen sooner, and it's time that I want to get my foot in the door and help mold that future.
Yeah, I think it's important. Sorry.
No, definitely. I was more trying to get an understanding, or based on when people want to actually give you their live stream, how does that process work? So let's say I'm live streaming an event and I want it to go on real broadcasting. Would they come to you? Do you ask them for their geocodes and specific hashtags, or do you guys kind of do that through AI in itself? Kind of educate me.
Right.
I'm sorry.
There are great resources out there for an event streaming. I'm not one of them.
Okay.
Today. In the future, yes, and that's for an idea I have in my head. Right now we have an MVP product.
Okay.
But yeah, in the future you come to us today, there are better places to help you. Right now, I'm looking to build channels that have 24 hours of content and at least be live 3 days a week, at least, somewhere live, so that it stays fresh. For instance, a school is broadcasting Chemistry 101 at 8 o'clock in the morning, and it's broadcasting a volleyball game at night. They finally have a TV station all their own that everybody in the world knows where they are.
That's awesome. All right. Thank you.
I got it. Sorry.
I'm Matt.
Sorry. My fault.
No, we're good.
Sorry, I'm not going after other parts.
Okay, you're a bit high. All right. Can you hear me? What's that? I wear tight shirts to make me look bigger. It's just the truth. All right. I'm Matt with Condition One. Founded Condition One a couple years ago. A bit of background about myself. I was in the Marine Corps, spent 5 years. Most of my time was spent in the infantry. Don and I actually served together, and that's what led me to create Condition One. We make a mission performance bar or meal performance bar. I'd say it's probably one of the best meal performance bars on the market today, and I know it's kind of a big claim. I worked with an NSW nutritionist to come up with the bar. Can you hear me? Is that better? Yeah. Worked with an NSW nutritionist to come up with the bar, and the reason why I claim that we're the best is because out of all the organic bars on the market today, we are the most nutrient dense and we have more protein than any of them. Over the last 3 years, we've been primarily an e-commerce company, selling direct to consumer online using an order bake ship model. So another way we stand out is everything's always fresh. Customers go right on our site, order the bars, it gets made and delivered to them. Last year, we did about 80K in sales and broke even out of a small bakery in Brooklyn. Earlier this year, this summer, I decided to go full-time with the business and wholesale the bars to different gyms in the New York area. Within about a month and a half, we totally capped out our bakery's capacity, and we're now selling at about 30 gyms in the tri-state area. So we've already done 80K in sales this year. We've since moved on to a much bigger facility, so our capacity has greatly increased and our costs have gone down a lot, thus much better margins. Our goal over the next 2 years is to acquire 20% of the CrossFit gyms nationwide. So we expect that to produce about 8 million in annual sales. And that projection is based on assumption of each gym buying 10 boxes per month. And what we're seeing right now is they're already exceeding that. We are seeing gyms go through about as much as about 40 boxes in a month. So we're doing a raise right now. We're looking for a minimum of 200K, and we'll be putting that into sales and marketing, build a team, and start scaling much faster. And that's it.
So I have the unfair advantage here across all the other structures that Matt and I have known each other for about a year York City, thanks to fun. So I remember seeing the first iteration of those. You definitely come a long way, which is awesome. Starting with the pitch, you kind of nailed everything well in terms of the time frames. Obviously, we were leading on the slides. So obviously, I took a couple points away from it, but like, that's fine. What you were doing on that level of what information was from it was perfect in terms of it was like, what was the reasoning for it? Where is it now? What's going next? What was interesting too was that, and we were talking about this earlier, is you're saying that you're doing a minimum of 200K, which I think is a good perspective to do it, especially because you're talking like angel investors to institutional or venture capital firms. Because then you can at least start the conversations with like if you talk to someone who raises like 200K or puts in 250K checks or 500K checks or $1 million checks or whatever, then you can frame the conversation if it's the right fit investor. This is actually a really good point for all founders in the room is as long as you have the right fit, then it's always a two-way street between the founder and the investor. As crazy as it sometimes seems, like you're also in control of who's your company, as crazy as sometimes it seems. You can then frame the funds to it. So that's, I'm glad you did that. Overall, this is great. It's just funny because like I can't really ask questions about the rock name because like,
You know.
it already? So, yeah.
But if I could expand off that though, like the way that you did frame up the money, especially at the minimum side, talk about what you've done thus far this year. I mean, you clearly exceeded what you did the previous year and an extrapolated amount of time, and it's really performant to say of what you've been able to expand to. Coming from where I did when I was in the Army, we would destroy those. And when we were bullshitting outside, you were telling me how you're looking at groups and different, especially dev group and stuff like that. Those are the people that are going to buy it on the government side.
Right.
So I see the GSA angle. I definitely see a whole lot of opportunity there, and I definitely want to keep talking to you about it because
Thank you.
It's very interesting, and what you've done thus far, and with the gyms. I mean, New York City, you've got a great opportunity for CrossFit, but when you look at that GSA side, and you go to any military base, be it conventional or non, it's just CrossFit's expanding within the market. It's a growing, just like quinoa or kale.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I love what you're doing.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
So maybe to blend the question with some feedback, right?
Yeah.
So the big thing why investors invest is they should get excited about what you're excited about.
Right.
Obviously, you know what you're doing. So why should someone invest in you? So maybe to kind of talk more about that and talk about maybe the return, if it's a financial thing or if you're doing something good for people, good for health, that kind of stuff.
Yeah. I did my best to focus on like the metrics of the company and growth and whatnot, right? I mean, this is my passion. I love this. I've been doing this for 3 years, and there's just so many things I can talk about. I mean, part of it is we donate a portion of all our bars back to the veteran community, to different nonprofits, Recon Sniper Foundation, Force Blue, and Mission Vermont. So, I mean, there's that aspect. I'm excited to grow this, to see it grow. I think the brand has a lot of potential. The product really is good. I'd really encourage you to just try it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, and then part of what you're saying is you want to make sure that you filter out your investors, that
Right.
they're the right ones too.
Yeah.
Right.
One of the things I really focus on is diligence is both ways, right? So as much as someone's going to ask you a million questions, you should respectfully ask the investor. When you get to that final stage,
Right.
make sure that they're a good fit. You don't want a crappy lead investor.
You mentioned that 3 vendors reached out to you. I know Mark personally. They're great guys, invested in some fantastic some product startups like Codepax here, Will Apparel, Gangster, and Rowan is a great example, which is what leads to the next question. In terms of like the good for you, the passion for it as well, it's something that also actually raises something that you need to think about the brand of Mission One. Now,
Right.
I think that responding with, you've got the CrossFit community that's, yes, a bit of a cult of that atmosphere, but you said it too, it's like once you get them in, they just spread like wildfire. It's word of mouth advertising, word of
Yeah.
mouth. And you say like, eat this is exactly what you need, and people just will do it. Word of mouth advertising always will be the most powerful marketing tool hands down, no matter what you do. Because if someone tells you as your friends to do it, it's like they're going to do it. or tried it. So then, which raises two questions. One, what do you feel is the most exciting part of the brand Condition One that, like, what people are going to ask you is like, what is Condition One? Like, what's the most important thing you should recognize about it? Like, is it the product that you know it's the right meal substitute thing for workouts? Is it just like a veteran-owned business? And then the other question is, mentioning things like Lord Apparel, have you looked at collaborations alongside spaces like this, like a Woolico or a Roan or like that kind of stuff?
Yeah, we've looked at some co-branding with Black Rifle Coffee, another veteran-owned company. And to answer your question about what excites me the most, the combination of the product and the brand itself, what the brand stands for. I mean, we're real food. We're food that performs. We're not fake. We're not phony. It's actually good for you, and it will push you along further. That excites me.
Cool. I also have someone for you to talk to.
Thanks.
Oh, you need this. All right.
Just stick this in the pocket. Yeah, I just like touching people's chest.
So I found out about this at 1 o'clock. This is my first official pitch, so I'm using the phone. Sorry about that. So my name is Aaron Green. I'm a former Marine officer, and I'm building the Harry's razors for voluntary carbon offsets. I want to significantly reduce the amount of greenhouse gases we emit in order to help make sure our kids and grandkids can have a healthy future and an earth where they can actually breathe easy. Right now, scientists say we have about a 1 in 20 chance of seeing a future where the only things we have to worry about are the extinction of the world's tropical reefs, the Persian Gulf going goodbye, and sea level rising just several meters. That's like the best case scenario. But it's more likely that by around 2050, give or take, there are going to be forests in the Arctic. We're going to suffer the loss of many of the world's coastal cities. Europe will be in a permanent drought. Polynesia is going to be swallowed by the sea. The Southwest in America is going to be uninhabitable, and the Earth is going to have around 200 million climate refugees. Like, that's the most likely scenario. Best case scenario is just goodbye to the tropical reefs. But the quickest, so it's critical that humans reduce and negate our carbon footprint, or else our kids and grandkids are truly well and screwed. The quickest way to achieve this is to significantly increase the purchases of carbon offsets by individuals people like us. Currently, people only buy 1% of the world's voluntary carbon offsets. And if we can get many people on board, that is going to it's the quickest way to start slowing the Earth's warming. And there's about a $300 billion untapped individual carbon offset market right now. The current market is very fragmented, rife with corruption, inefficient, difficult to understand, and it's almost impossible for the layperson to navigate. 99% of offsets are bought by businesses, and no one has cracked the code on how to sell to individuals. People who sell offsets right now are targeting businesses and hope random people somehow find their website and complete the very complicated buying process, which when I've gone to about 10 different ones, I haven't been able to get through a single one, and I'm looking at them all. They speak to people in the same way they would speak to a business, using the same language, and this really just confuses people and turns them off. But as a reformed nonprofit fundraiser who specializes in monthly giving, i.e. recurring subscriptions, and using digital marketing and digital tools to walk people through a process and getting them to buy something that's intangible and something they can feel good about, I really see the individual carbon offset market in a very different way than everyone else actually selling offsets. And I think that they're all doing it wrong, and they're all following the herd. They're all just the lemmings falling off the side of the cliff. So I'm working to create a subscription service that will simplify the process of buying offsets and just make it easy, accessible, and desirable. So I'm starting by targeting millennial mothers, in particular, those already predisposed to buying natural, eco-friendly, and organic products. Millennial mothers are digital natives who freely give their opinion and seek opinions of others when buying things. And I believe that I can create a viral referral program right at the start that meets mothers where they're hanging out online and will take advantage of their powerful digital voices. So I'm currently conducting customer development interviews with millennial mothers who blog about organic, natural, and eco-friendly lifestyles. And there's actually been a lot of interest, and I've even been asked to guest blog on a couple of these. So I'm currently in the process of incorporating. I don't have a name yet. I do have lawyers. I'm looking for mentors with experience in subscription services who'd be willing to sit down with me and take a deeper dive. Thank you.
So I definitely hear you at disrupting the market where like actually, we're going to be doing good for the overall ecosystem.
Yes.
My question though is like, when you go into specific goods, like tell me, I got a little lost, which goods are you going to be targeting to be, giving to this monthly recurring subscription? So
the way carbon offsets work is that you're paying somebody else, usually in a developing country, money to start a project that will capture methane, reduce their own carbon dioxide footprint, increase oxygen, et cetera. And these only count as offsets if they otherwise wouldn't have been able to do that. So this collective pooled money allows them to do that. Okay. So there are brokers, there are marketplaces, there are wholesalers, there are resellers. It all sucks. There's a few people trying to do blockchain marketplaces, but I don't think those are going to succeed if they can't actually get individuals to buy it, because we can't really count on businesses and governments to do it. So right now, I'll be taking the money and I will be going and buying the offsets. There's about 4 or 5 certifications, and you can, looking for projects with 2 or 3 certifications, get a diverse portfolio. You can get everything from like super cheap wind offsets through really expensive algae offsets. A very common one is to plant trees, and that's not really a good thing. So looking for a diverse portfolio and about $4 a ton, a carbon dioxide ton to set off.
So when do you start? When does the company start?
So ASAP. I have pro bono lawyers who are former military at a big law firm. They're helping me incorporate. I have to pick a damn name. I'm trying to create my landing pages and do pre-selling stuff so that I can write these blogs and actually get people to at minimum sign up and hopefully do some pre-sales.
Just quick feedback.
Yeah.
That was a good solid 5-minute pitch.
Was it 5 minutes? Holy shit.
But no, I'm just saying it's a general level, like how you're going through the story. Because it was good in terms of like recognizing the problem, coming to solutions where things are going right now. Definitely see if you can find a way to cut down a little bit. Because like I think it's about like what you're focused on, give a quick background of what carbon offsets are, talk about the corruption schemes from it all, and then just like here's how we're going to do it, here's what we got the interest in, and then what's going to happen next.
Cool.
So, I think you can definitely get that.
Awesome.
Because I think what's also really powerful about this is that a lot of people don't understand, especially from the layman's perspective, like what carbon offsets are. And like I think that once
that's a lot of the opportunity, actually.
Right, especially because when people recognize the real benefit of it, it's like, helping to like reduce the methane system and bring it up to the level. Like the general person is going to be like, fuck yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Like, how can I help? I think it's also going to be really interesting on a marketing perspective as well to get more buy-in aside from the fact that business.
Cool. Thank you.
And a quick confidence feedback is don't make excuses. You just found
Yeah. All right.
Just jump in it.
Good point. All right.
Just jump in it.
All right. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah.
Do you know them?
I know somebody who knows him very well.
President.
And the guy,
Former president, also Costa Rica.
Interesting. I know somebody said,
I'll let you put that.
Yeah, I'm good.
They're looking to
Actually,
somewhere.
someone actually, not coworkers, I'm actually.
So I got it.
Okay. So I actually. Not that I
President.
well, I'm not routing it through my shirt or anything either. Also, another point is that a study just came out today that by the end of the century, most of the Earth will be uninhabitable.
That just sucks, right?
Right?
Okay, whatever. I'm gonna be gone.
I got no kids. I'm not kidding. I'm kidding. All right. Hi, for those who don't know me, I'm Lana Duffy, and I am the founder of Pathfinder.vet, and I am also a U.S. Army veteran, and I went into the service with an engineering degree, an engineering master's, not a whole lot of common sense, so I decided to become enlisted instead of going officer, and worked in the intelligence fields. So I had this great engineering background, and then I did 10 years of service for my country, got hit by an IED, got a Purple Heart and some walking papers, and for those who are not familiar or not military, when the military sets you out, it doesn't matter your background, doesn't matter your service. They just hand you, maybe if you're lucky, a front and back sheet of paper that has the local resources on it. Then if you start looking for stuff, you have 46,000 nonprofits, you have all these corporate programs that are trying to raise money by doing great things for the veterans and hiring and mentorship, and schools each have their own program. Everybody's got a program, and then you ask the federal government to try and help out too, and then you get stories about the VA. So where I came into this was saying, I have no idea what to look for, and the more I started talking to people, because that's what I do, I talk. I went out to these people, I was talking to other vets, and they were like, man, it's been like this since Vietnam, only now, then we had nothing, now we have too much. And there's no good way to filter it unless you ask somebody else exactly what they used that they liked, and then is your personality similar enough that you can get along? Why isn't this on the internet somewhere? That's the only thing that kept going through my mind. And since it's not, I decided to make it. So Pathfinder.vet, if I were getting out right now, I could log onto the system as a user, as a transitioning veteran, and see and request mental health resources. I would not only get the list of mental health resources in a particular area that I wanted to find, but our machine learning and AI platforms will actually show you, based on your personality or your demographics or whatever else we have, we can match you with the top 3 to 5 that might be the best fit based on the personality metrics that we're getting from other people who are also contributing reviews. You can make your decision based on that. You can make your decision based on what other people are saying about it. Do they like it? Are the people in the front nice? And so forth. Thinking of it as like a Yelp on the front end, but then a little bit more than that on the back end, because we're going to help you make that decision and the right decision. We're also going to, we're currently building a machine learning based platform which will handhold, which will guide people through this system, and will say, all right, you're getting out in 3 months. These are the first 3 things you're going to need to do. When you're done with those, that's cool. We'll check up on you. We'll say hi and make sure you did it. And then you're going to fill out a really quick 3 to 5 minute survey on what your experience was so other people can see it. And then we're going to unlock the next thing for you to go through and get yourself reintegrated in society. The really cool thing that we're doing, and how we currently have a couple of clients for, is the other analytic piece that we do, which is we take natural language processing and we can identify markers that foundations want to know, that other funders want to know. Why would I fund your program if I don't know that it's actually reducing stress? Why would I fund your program if I don't know that the person came in there with this need and is still coming out with the same exact need? We can look just at how somebody writes a paragraph, 100 words, and we can say whether or not stress has been reduced over the course of 10 weeks when discussing this topic, and so forth. We are looking for some assistance currently in terms of investors, and that assistance would be in the neighborhood of $250,000 so that we can bring on a full-time developer. My team is myself and then several part-time folks currently, and I would love to be able to bring some of them on full-time data engineer, and some marketing so that we can get the word out to more vets in a shorter amount of time to be able to participate in the system. For example, right now you can go on you can go on pathfinder.vet, look up VetsInTech, and say like, hey, I went to the event, it was awesome. That's for you people at home too. So the $250,000 would be a great step towards making this really come together, improve our machine learning, improve the natural language processing, and make something that we can not only use with the veteran community, but show that if the veteran community can fix these problems, imagine what we could do with this. So.
So you already put this system together?
Yes.
Is that right? Okay.
Yeah.
And then you're going to get the scale. What's your timeline?
So we are, because everybody's part-time right now, it's still pretty piecemeal, where we build out critical pieces as we can. In order to be able to have the full system completely built, if we had full-time folks, we would be able to get to a point where we're just doing system improvements within the next 4 to 6 months. And then it's just improvement on improvement on improvement. So that's the fun part about machine learning, I guess.
What I think is just really interesting about the business model is just the accountability perspective in terms of working with clients and getting on there. Because I think it's a great way also of calling out organizations that are saying that they're doing stuff for veterans, but it's also like recognizing it from that level. Which then raises another key question, is that how have you thought about various ways to make revenue off of Pathfinder.vet? Because, I mean, I guess on a personal level, like, you definitely want to make sure this stays free for veterans.
Right.
But I'm just curious, especially because I'm speaking from an accountability perspective, like, it's almost like it's a way that you can push those that aren't working on it, almost like, hey, we have this data, let's fix it, contracting, etc.
So we, currently, we have two different clients right now with two very different needs. One of our clients is what we don't look at as a traditional client. We're doing like a separate tech optimization project for them using our platform in the hopes that we can then come back at them with some feedback and say, hey, you're gonna want this in future years. But the other one is much more of a traditional, what we see as a traditional client, which would be, here's an amount that's, of course, graded on the size of the organization and their donation stream. But what we want to be able to do is get, we're running essentially a year-long study for them so that they can see where a program is faltering and they can improve that program. So they have a program that they've already identified a problem with, and we are helping them pinpoint the problem and improve upon it. We're also working with some foundations whereby the foundation is telling us, hey, we're not really sure about the impact of this. Can you help us find the rough impact that they have now, that they have in 2 months, that they have in 3 months? And so we're working on partnerships with like Robin Hood Foundation, Bob Woodruff Foundation, and so forth.
Well, I think it's interesting too, just on turning around it, like the cycles, when you find the programs that do work very well, you can also use that as tools to actually help integrate to other organizations that want to be helpful to veterans. So it's like a double revenue system that you can pull from that. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I was going to definitely comment on that, because like finding that unique use case, all you can do from there is replicate it, scale out. Definitely really intriguing on what you're talking about with the NLP, because like I love AI and NLP, and hearing you bring that into your product roadmap and actually push it out, I'm intrigued. Like I'll ask the questions much later, but I kind of but awesome presentation overall. I love the way that you started off speaking about yourself, clearly showcase the problem and your solution. So great job.
Thanks.
All dressed up and no place to go. Just stick that in your pocket. Yeah. You got it.
I got it. I'm good. Thanks. So my name is Mike Kim, and you can find out about all my craziness and all my projects through MikeKimVeteran.com. MikeKimVeteran.com. I was a former monk and also in the military 3 times, going back to 1987. I'm also the first Korean American VA director. I directed the largest combat trauma war readjustment unit in New York City. Actually, it's out in Queens, so it was a 4-hour commute each day, and I basically did that for 13 years. I lost my child visitation rights in the process. I lost my life. I deployed to Iraq. I came back a different man. I never returned to the monastery. And that's what led me to pretty much set up my project, and that is askamonk.com. Well, actually, it's Ask a Monk, and you can get that through MikeKimVeteran.com. The thing about it is I'm working private practice because I left the VA because I was tired of it. And I believe that we have to move towards a period of accountability, like what all of you have mentioned. And I think what you all are doing is wonderful as far as trying to, use technology as a way to improve the world. But not only that, you're using your sense of self. I'm also at Columbia University, the organization and management department there, working on a doctorate, and I'm looking at the power of story and seeing how story makes an impact, not only in my life, in my story, as far as a guy who deployed to Iraq as a 50-year-old, surrendered his commission and went in as an enlisted man and ended up being an assistant team leader for a tactical civil affairs team, but ended up like really screwing up his life when he got back. And I think a big thing that we need to look at is accountability as far as setting up a health grades type of system for veteran services, much like what Alana was talking about. But we really need to use technology as a way to kind of like grade the services within the VA as well as without those services outside of the VA to really bring out the stories of the patient, the client, the vet, as well as the story of those helping in that process. And so my work is not just in private practice, but also in facilitating groups using the model of transformative learning. You could look that up, transformative learning. I have a published book chapter in stories of transformative learning to understand how to use this teachable kind of approach to kind of learn about stories, but also learn about communities and life worlds, veteran life worlds, because my life world is very different from all of yours, and yours is different from mine. And I think it's important to get out there instead of having a cookie-cut veteran story that's set up by the New York Times. So how am I using my peaceful insurgency? Because I'm a monk at heart. I have a podcast, so I pumped out 70 stories through podcast. Matt DeMeo with Condition 1. Don is going to be a future member of that. Rudy Reyes, Chris Martinez, Martini, a filmmaker, he's going to be a part of that. The thing about it is I'm about working together. And so I invite all of y'all to kind of like work with me to kind of get this rolling. I don't care about money. I'm looking for spiritual capital. That's what I'm looking for. I was a monk. I don't have anything. I worked from nothing. And in Iraq, I was able to pioneer medical crowdfunding. If you look up Daily News, Team Rawan, I basically set that up before Kickstarter to basically get children medical care in India. And my model comes from, if you look at Dr. Devi Shetty's model, as well as Dr. V's model with Aravind Eye Hospital, basically servicing everyone with a spirit of generosity, but at the same time willing to help other people get ahead. I want to pay for my son's college in the future, so why not help other people and also look at helping myself? So please, be a part of what I have going on, and I'll expose you all. I have a column I write for the Mindful Word magazine, and it's a non-veteran magazine, and I have a veteran spirituality column. I'm willing to write about any of you all, and I'm also writing for the Good Men Project. Henry Rollins just published something. They said, "Oh, don't worry, it's going to be okay." When your article comes out, I have as many hits as Henry Rollins with my last article called hiding a war from your lover, because I'm willing to go into the deep issues that a lot of folks do not know regarding the veteran terrain. And I'm willing to share my story, and I'm open to having your stories out there. So thank you.
I really want to know, first off, I'm interested, but what's your plan to scale out your market and push out? Like, what's your marketing goal to get your name and your podcast out there to kind of just get a bigger audience?
Well, that's why I'm here.
Yeah,
So that's why I'm here. So my big struggle is I have solid followers for the podcast, for, I got, 700 hits for, shares for that article that happened last week. But, why can't it go into the thousands, right? So that's why I want to rely on technology. Heidegger, the philosopher, wrote a book called The Question of Technology. And I asked that question, how are we going to use technology for greater truth, right? And truth in the sense of big truth, as well as the truths that we live out day to day. So that's important to me. Yeah.
How open are you to finding a co-founder?
I'm open to it all, because I come from a monastic background. We had to work together even deeper than the military in many ways, because we had very limited resources. I mean, the Dominican friars set the tone for the Renaissance period with nothing, and so I'm open to it all. Any type of partnership.
Think about that. Think about finding someone that has that skill set.
Yeah.
Get them sold on this. I mean, it's a really compelling story.
Right. Well, I'm also working on an executive MBA at Fordham, and I'm trying to gather some resources there. And but why not rely on you all as well, right?
Okay. My buddy teaches at Fordham, so I'll
Outstanding.
Yeah.
So I call you to task too.
That's the best way.
I'm just sitting here, just thinking how you have the time and the capacity to work on all these different things. It's
I don't sleep. My readjustment issues cause me not to sleep. And you could look up all my stuff. Matt will tell you, Don will tell you. I pump out, go on the internet, and I make things happen. I started a veteran social service program called Veteran Spiritual Fellowship. It helped a lot of veterans. I don't ask for money. That's the whole thing. And so in many ways, the bottom line is people are going to believe you as far as the outcomes, right? All these different organizations that are set up, you all may be a part of it, that's fine. Hey, I'm the intimidator, I'm from the South, and Dale Earnhardt is my driver, the late, great Dale Earnhardt. And the bottom line is, you have to make things happen, You can't just talk about veteran services, you have to provide that. And I'm always in the trenches, and I have been. I have a long track record going back to the 90s as far as helping veterans. And that's...
I'll piggyback on that. I first came to New York in 2011. And I was looking for any job, and I couldn't get a single job in New York. So I took a volunteership at a local collegiate church. I'm not a religious person. For some reason, Michael and my group had this thing going together. Probably because it's a psychoanalysis thing, but he had a huge impact in my life. I was searching for what was next, and out of all the veterans.
Thank you.
It's probably my goal.
And you're actually, I grew up in the South, and it's like, Jesus is my co-pilot. Don is actually my visionary pilot. You know what I mean? And Matt and Rudy.
I was the mosquito.
So, which then raises an interesting perspective of what you're building from this, because I think having a co-founder, I think, would be interesting, but it's not even that you might not need even a co-founder. It's just also, just keep thinking about your ask. It's I just need people to kind of believe from it. So I think it's just a level of feedback, because you've given so much to us about what you're doing, what you're working on, your like profile, your system, what you've gone from it. And I think that the thing I'm just still trying to think about, because like I'm just, the hamster wheel's turning about how I can help best, is to make your ask a little bit more direct in the perspective where it's like, hey, you know, I've been working, and like start the purpose of like you're working on a million different things. Take the ones where you feel personally that have the greatest amount of content and product and curriculum almost, whether it's the podcast, whether it's the Goodman Project article, whatever, and be like, look, I want to take these nuggets that I've got in my collection and I want to put them to I want to get them out to CBS, to position for CBS this morning, or I want to put it to scale it out to like any kind of organization that focuses in this kind of space. It's a little more direct on from it versus just like, hey, I just want you all to kind of work with me and cross it, and that's important. But I think that will also help you give a little bit more direction as to what you're going to build out, and then it shapes into like the ultimate business and organization that you're going to be kind of spearheading forward alongside that veteran and everything that you've done. That's just the biggest thing to feedback.
Yeah.
Again, I'm just more trying to think about like what's going to be, how can I help the best way? But then it's like once I can see that, and this is something that like I hope you follow up with me about as well, just because I'm just kind of like I'm just fucking blown away about everything that you've done for others, for the veteran community, for others. Period. It's beyond admirable. But I think it's also like making sure too how I actually come to pay back.
Well, that's wonderful to add, to mention. My big thing is trust. I don't want to get anybody's help unless you're going to be with me, just like in the military. You know, if I could trust them to go to finish the mission. I don't need your money. I've got, you know, a little bit of pension money I'm working on. I don't mind putting in the time. I have a strong back still at age 50. But I need people that I can trust, and that's why I'm asking for that spiritual capital. If you're willing to be out there and be open, we'll figure it out along the way. You know, sometimes the mission is really finding out once you're there. You know, and but what you're saying is very important, because MacArthur was talking about planning, and so I need it.
Those plans, you can then recognize the levels of goodwill that you'll be getting. And it's the greatest thing about the arts tradition ecosystem is that it's all grows by goodwill. People will help provide what they can, turn around as they're going up the mountain, help pulling a couple people along the way. But no agenda, nothing in intentions. And I think that's what's such a powerful thing that you do. And that you'll definitely find others along the way that come from it. So, yeah, this has been great.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Thanks.
This has been fucking awesome. Everyone's learning it, so I'm good.
Yeah, I can help. Good. Thanks.
Swear as much as possible.
I forgot about that.
Stick this in your pocket.
Okay.
I don't want to take that.
Hello everyone, my name is Danny. Today I'm going to talk about FloorMind. So globally, 1 out of 4 adults suffer from mental health challenges. And a statistic that's very unfortunate is that 50% of these mental health issues actually begin at age 14. Not actually when you're an adult. You start developing certain issues due to various reasons, right? And that got us really thinking about what is really happening during that time. So we started talking to high school teachers, high school students, parents, and we realized that the high school years and the years before that are very turbulent times for adolescents. They are experiencing a lot of different emotional needs, as well as needs to grow up and develop different social capabilities and skills. And they're also dealing with becoming an adult. However, in the school system today, there's really no system to help support them through that process. So they're going there, learning the curriculum, learning all the different things like math and reading, however, not really prepared for life. So my co-founders and I started a company to approach mental health issues in adolescents through education. And we're developing a mental health curriculum that will be developed, delivered to two different methods. The first method is workshops to after-school programming, in which we will directly interact with students and teach them self-care skills, mental health knowledge, as well as strategies for improving emotional intelligence and coping and dealing with others. The second step that we want to deliver this is through an EdTech platform that we're going to deliver it digitally so students have access to a resource inside and outside of the classroom. So we already did our first workshop in Brooklyn early in April, and we had positive feedback. We actually taught them about reducing social stigma around mental health, and we introduced the concept of meditation to the students, and they actually loved it. So through the feedback from the principals and the students, we also then participated in business competitions, and we recently won around $26,500 from a startup competition at our university, as well as $500 from the New York Business Plan competition upstate. And with that money, we're working on working with psychologists, social workers, educators to develop a curriculum that will really effectively help these students. We're not only looking at superficially improving these skills, but also trying to see if we could dramatically improve the emotional well-being and eventually improve academic performance down the road. So we're looking for help in bridging that gap. We're also looking for partnerships and other funding opportunities as this mission is really big, and we need all the help we can get to really help move this. So we're looking at this as a vision to kind of prevent and kind of intervene early on to help people with mental health issues rather than wait until later when it's kind of too late. Thank you.
That's awesome. I hear you're looking for help. So give us a figure and when you plan on doing it.
So currently right now, we just got out of an incubator program at our school, Zahn Center of Innovation, Zahn Innovation Center, and we're working through kind of getting some funding from them to kind of start off with doing our workshops. So right now we have three schools that we're working on having workshops in the fall. And during the springtime, we are attempting to try to charge. So if we don't have revenue coming from them, we also need funding to help fund it for the rest of the springtime. So currently we're not looking for a lot of money because we're just trying to start out, we're early and we need results. So I would say $50,000 really just to keep us funding and also to pay full time for interns as well as marketing costs.
Awesome.
Thank you.
And what do you see for scaling from that? So like, let's say your roadmap is that $50,000 for this fall or this fiscal or educational year. What do you see as your 3-year goal?
Our 3-year goal is to be kind of partnering up with other New York City agencies and work with DOE to start providing these resources as a city vendor. One of the initiatives that's actually great about New York State is that they just recently passed a law that just passed in July to teach, to include mental health in the curriculum of the state. So now New York City is kind of going through a process where they're trying to figure that out. And based on information, they have not. So we kind of want to be there and be very active in that process.
2 more minutes.
Okay.
So just real quick, look for government funding or city funding too, right? So have you looked at that yet? Or?
That's currently what we're looking at the moment, but right now we don't have any results. We don't really have much, so we're really early. So we're currently just trying to get as much workshops and working with schools as much as possible. So more spiritual and social capital.
Just quick feedback. Good fund up pitch overall. Does VetsInTech have like an event, I think, last week or so?
Yes.
You're like a power coordinator.
I was here, but I was not presenting. I was not part of the accelerator program. I was gone for the summer, so I wasn't participating.
Yeah. No, it's great that you're working with organizations like Design Center, because one of the companies that Brandon invested in Keep Home was birthed out of it. So I was excited to see.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So that's awesome.
Okay, thank you.
I'm not pinching anything, I don't know what it is.
Just put a nipple on it.
Please no.
Oh, no. Take the spot right here. Just go. Just go. Cool. How's it going, guys? My name is Josue Manuel Encarnacion. I'm the founder of Watch My Bud. Watch My Bud is an all pets marketplace, which I started back in 2015 once I separated from the Air Force. I used to have a golden retriever named Rose, which I had to give up for adoption due to deployments and long missions. Watch My Bud is trying to solve a problem where there's 79 million pet owners in America, and that number is about to grow to over 140 million in the next 2 years. Also, service members and their families cannot find adequate pet sitters and affordable pricing in the service member community, and as well as the working professional, as firefighter, police officer, nurses, and doctors who have hectic schedules. Watch My Bud is an all pets marketplace that brings pet owners and pet sitters together, and the pet owners can provide affordable pricing, as well as, as well as a trustworthy community. Some solutions that Watch My Bud brings to the pet industry is where pet sitters can literally find pet owner tasks. So if a pet owner has small individual tasks, let's say feed my dog, give my dog a pill, give my dog some insulin shots, Watch My Bud can provide this as a mini Craigslist for pet owners. The marketplace is about $62.75 billion. Serviceable portion of that marketplace is $5.75 billion. Out of that, the attainable serviceable market is about 75 million, and our competition is Rover and WAG, who have raised over $1 billion in seed funding. The only thing they're beating us in right now is just in overall economic numbers, which they, raising $200 million have raised enough pet sitters to overwhelm everyone. So that's Watch My Bud. Yep. It was like,
no, I was just thinking because
That was the only one that was under 2 minutes.
So I think you could definitely slow it down a little bit because I totally get that you're just trying to make sure you get all the information, especially on addressable market. And yeah, like when we were walking through this, I was like, Rover, WAG, oh my god, like because they are SoftBank, etc. How are you vetting the pet sitters themselves, and also just recognizing the opportunity because like it's heartbreaking, like as a former pet owner, like especially for military service to give up from it. Do you have some interesting testimonials to also share with them as well, like testing out from right now?
Yes, we've had our flagship customers already. We just had a booking about 2 weeks ago for about $400, about a week and a half worth of pet sitting care. What was the first part to the question?
So how are you vetting your...
Oh, yes. I'm manually vetting pet sitters myself and my brother through, visually talking to these individuals, asking them some key questions, and seeing what experience they have with pets. Because you can't just have a novice, beginner, never owned a pet person just want to go up, sign up, and become a pet sitter like Rover does. Rover doesn't really vet them completely. They just have people sign up, and half of them are not even using the platform. They're just there taking up space. So that's one thing. And the testimonials I've had is my brother and myself, we're part of the platform. He has a member of the LGBT community who was selling a home in a different state, and he didn't have adequate pet care. So we did a little bit of small Facebook ads, and he found Watch My Bud and my brother on our platform, and just the fact that my brother was a Marine Recon veteran who was actually trying to pet sit a pet, I was like, whoa, that just surprises people that a veteran wants to serve people more and provide pet sitting care as well. So the guy, he jumped right on, and he's like, hey, can you take care of my Chihuahua for about 2 weeks? My brother was like, yeah, this is the platform, this is who we are, and boom, they did that. Yeah.
You mentioned WAG. How do you compete against that?
Well, WAG just focuses on the dog market, dog walking and dog sitting, just as Rover does dog walking and dog sitting. They're trying to attempt to jump into cats, but they're not really like that kind of like brand. They've been branded for dogs. Where we are different is we go after military, LGBT community, and professional working class Americans. We're better pricing, yes. You can set your own pricing, because the thing with pet industry is people will pay any price for their pet, but just when you build that rapport with a pet sitter, you can start your price at $20, right? But then once you have that trusted pet sitter, you can raise your price every year to whatever it is you need, because you don't want to deal with another stranger taking care of your loved one.
It's your fucking pet.
Exactly. Yeah.
My wife messaged me every day since we started out walking. It's like, it's a ton of money, but you gotta do it. Dogs need to walk.
It's like having another child, So
the pet market is blowing up. great space to be in.
SoftBank's getting it, it's blowing up.
So there's always a challenge when you try to compete against the Goliath, right? You're going to do something different,
Yes, we're
but then they can do the same thing differently too. How do you kind of stay ahead?
Well, the way we stay ahead is we just stay in our 5 key segments points in the marketplace where they're just focused on the big picture. So we're so small they probably don't even see us right now, you know. So we're creeping up on them. As soon as we get the funding we need to compete and just market, we'll be right there because we're military vets. We don't quit, and they're just beating us at just pure economics. You know, so I have friends who are actually rover sitters, and they've never been booked, and they've been on the platform for over 3 years. So
what markets are you hitting right now? Like, is it local? I have to be honest, this hits close. I rescued my dog down at Eglin Air Force Base because somebody deployed, never came back, and I took her. And for me, just thinking, like, personally, like, are you in New York? Are you going out bigger? Because it's a great story, and I'm really interested.
yeah, so Watch My Bud, it started in Jersey. I was stationed in Jersey, McGuire Air Force Base, which is a huge joint base, has all the branches in there. And currently I moved here to Riverdale, Bronx, Riverdale, New York. So I go to Manhattan College, and I'm building the platform from Manhattan College students and veteran students who go to my school, as well as my brother. He lives in San Diego. He's building it from San Diego on up. So we're pretty much doing a West Coast and the East Coast market and slowly like bringing it together. And then I'm talking to Family War and Readiness Centers. I don't know if you've ever heard of those. It's like pre-deployment required like checklist stuff for people who are about to deploy. So if they have pets, I'm trying to get in there so they can know about my company.
Yeah, I was going to recommend that GSA route because obviously, as I said, like on Eglin, that's where I took my dog. And you hear these stories all the time, so you have great opportunity right around any base.
And that was going to be my big question for this, like, partnerships is the X factor for this level. It's like, animal shelters was the first thing I was going to think of, but like this GSA levels like immediately get into the process, and so people recognize this tool that comes in, and I think there's a level of stickiness for Watch My Bud where it's like people recognize that this product, that this service exists, and so they even, let's say they finish their deployment, they can also use that in terms of like working and helping, like getting an opportunity to work with other pets as well, and helping like feedback from the system, whether it's sitters or even from that level. So I think that it's the brand stickiness to it that can really go from deployment to post-deployment. Sorry, just thinking out loud from this.
No, that's good. Yeah, exactly.
That's awesome. Congrats.
Great job. Okay.
Hi, I'm gonna have to hold it, yeah. I'll hold it.
Yeah. If you want to, you look at, but that's okay. Hold it.
I'll pretend it's my clicker, my PowerPoint.
So you are?
No, I guess I am. I just wanted to practice. It never hurts to practice. All right. Okay. Good evening. My name is Catherine Kostreva, and I am the founder of Sunrise, revolutionizing the way veterans find work. Ryan, he's right here with me tonight. He's my business partner and my partner in life, and he served 10 years Marine Corps infantry. And his transition experience traveling, they don't know each other until tonight, by the way. So he transitioned from California, Camp Pendleton, into the unknown of New York City. And in doing so, his experience led us to write a piece of legislation to reform the Transition Assistance Program, TAP, for all of the service members in the room. And I'm happy to say that key measures in our bill are included in the National Defense Authorization Act of 2019. Now, the bill itself is the culmination of 2.5 years of research. And he and I decided that there are actually 2 primary issues associated with veterans transitioning back into the workforce. The first issue is that veterans are not finding the right job, the job that makes them feel like they are connected to that company and to those around them. And the second issue is that veterans often do not have the professional network to then go secure that job. So a lot of people have shared heartfelt personal stories today, and it's a testament to what this platform can do. Now, I want to take a step back, though. In 2017, you have 370,000 veterans who did not have work. 44% left their first job within 1 year. And compounding that issue is 80% of all jobs are acquired through networking. Now imagine you're back in the service, you're in California like Ryan was, except this time you're not traveling to New York City into the unknown. This time you stumble upon a platform that connects you and matches you perfectly with a job in New York City. Let's just say Barclays or Galvanize. And you also, on that same platform, are able to chat with other veterans. You can watch a live streamed event like the one tonight, and you can connect with a hiring manager. That is the basis of Sunrise, a dual-sided platform that merges AI, job search and matching, with virtual networking. We are the only platform to be doing this, and why are we different? Our profiles are generated using an assessment in addition to AI. So gone are the days of resumes. You are not to be a name on a stack of resumes 1,000 deep. If you are a veteran looking for work, just simply to connect with others and rebuild that sense of camaraderie, then Sunrise is for you. If you are a company like Barclays, like Galvanize, like VetsInTech, even if you're not hiring, and you want to share the fact that your brand cares about veterans, then Sunrise is for you. And if you are a VC who has additional questions about how we operate and our revenue model, et cetera, I'm happy to answer any questions you have. Thank you very much.
I just have quick feedback. That was extremely passionate. You clearly and concisely explained the problem, your solution. You had a great story. Great job.
Thank you.
Second.
Yeah, the pitch was like, you're still working on that pitch? Like, it's a good pitch. Like, it's a good
Thank you.
solid level in terms of breaking down all the data sets. So let's unwrap a little more. Where are you now in terms of traction, in terms of users, in terms of things like, what are some examples of some of the companies and organizations as well?
Perfect. So as I mentioned, it was a dual-sided platform. So as traction goes, on the right side, developing out proof of concept, which should be out October, November. But I work with Bunker Labs New York, and so there was a way to be able to tap into that network to test out the live streaming capabilities, build off the existing API of a live streaming platform, and and test the functionality, and then piggybacking off of our work with the legislation. I did not have time to share, but we have key endorsements from major Fortune 100 and 500 companies like the Deloittes of the world. And because of that, I'm able to tap into that network to actually start hosting events or actually live streaming their events. The AI side, of course, is much more complex, but I have been just networking the hell out of this city, and what I have concluded is that I'll be able to use an existing platform and license out for the left portion. There is a assessment that is something Ryan and I worked with. It's a company based out of California. They have the best assessment I've ever seen, and they basically pop out a 25-page assessment on you. We'll be able to convert that into a metric system. So say Barclays, Galvanize, whatever, they know that they want this skill set on a level of 1 to 10. You'll be able to determine that this person is a 9 or a 10 and focus on those to interview, so that we can get rid of the fact that resumes are always going to be an issue. Resumes are always going to have some kind of screw up in it, and you're not going to convert, or it could just be timing. But to answer your question, proof of concept this fall with a rollout in fall next year.
That's awesome.
Thank you. Any other questions? Yes,
Are
Aaron?
you only looking at a certain level of talent? Like, are you only looking for those top 3% that a lot of companies in New York or San Francisco are looking for? How are you going to help the guys who are from, West Texas and, the middle of nowhere who did their 4 years and now don't know what to do? Like, are you helping every level?
So you're talking about...
Like, the preference being out, what kind of talent is, spread are you doing?
Okay, so the crux of this is that, for example, you've got bases in Alabama and I like to say the middle of nowhere. You've got guys maybe who switched out, went to their home of record in Oklahoma, right? And a lot of people out there dream about going to New York, or it could just be being within Oklahoma. To reach them is a matter of, I have been doing PR for 10 years. so I can get the press to generate awareness. We have the capabilities in-house to do SEO campaigns to spread the word. I work with Bunker Labs. I have access to the Fortune 100, 500 companies. I think it's a matter of implementing a strategy, which we're still building out, to reach the far corners of the United States. But at the essence of it is to be able to reach individuals in those remote areas. And it's simply, knowing that the website exists. And you go on there, and then you live stream and you watch something like VetsInTech. So now it's not 30 people in the room, it's the guy in Oklahoma who says, holy shit, there's other people like me, and I just don't think I can get to New York, but maybe I should now. And then you can chat with the other veterans and then share your ideas and your stories and connect. In worst case scenario, if we can't give you a job, at least we can empower you.
Awesome. Have you looked at I've worked with the Ranger Up campaign for a little bit. They're really finance focused.
Which company?
Ranger Up, it's a nonprofit.
Okay.
Lead the Way, it's the Lead the Way Foundation that has
yeah.
a bunch of Ranger Up.
Okay.
But yeah, the Lead the Way Foundation, they are really, really focused on finance. You have mentioned a couple of finance firms I know, and they're always trying to get vets. Ideally, they were always looking for within the soft community, but now they're expanding out, and a lot of students that are coming out. I just see you and your mission set kind of going along with them and what they're doing. It might be just something to look into.
Super. And one other comment is that I wanted to mention this given time constraints. It's really interesting. In 2017, not nonprofits per se, but the financial world, in combination with the small size, mid-size, and Fortune 100, 500 companies, they spent a combined $74 million just in recruiting veterans. And that's 100 firms as surveyed by militarytimes.com in their annual report. And so the market share is there. I'm not going to say, I'm going to go grab 374 million, but it's amazing that 100 companies, and that's not even the recruitment. So nonprofits would be our partners. That would be a channel that we would pursue for sure.
That's awesome.
Super, thank you. I appreciate your questions. Thank you.
So I think that's it. Can we give it up to the presenters? Ra. And the panelists. So just a little final feedback. Next month we have an event at PayPal, which we're really excited about. And I think we're doing a December happy hour with Bunker Labs. Make it happen, right? And
Christmas, right?
I mean, not Christmas Day, but around there.
We're talking about big parties.
Sweater.
Digital ugly sweaters.
I mean, I had a blast tonight. You guys all did awesome. I was motivated by every one of you. Go raise some fucking money. Go sell some shit and sell the company. Make an impact. Yeah, delete that.
And before we go, since we still haven't figured out how we're actually going to give this thing away, anybody got ideas in terms of, it could be trivia question, it could be best pitch, like vote.
Arm wrestling competition.
Anybody got ideas in terms of how you want to give this away?
Best pitch. Stand up if you pitch.
Yeah. So first, as you stand up to the person you pitch, we'll give like a round of applause, and then we'll just go from there.
No participation trophies.
I don't remember the order of the pitch.
Everyone stand up.
Everybody stand up.
Good pitch. I'm gonna not participate in this, by the way.
Okay, starting for Will.
Dan.
Or Dan, sorry.
Matthew. All right, for Matthew. Close. For Aaron. Alana. For Danny. for the awesome fucking pet company. For the live streaming company. For my personal mentor, Michael Kim. And Katrina from Uncle Labs.
So I think we're gonna quickly just sign across, and I think we're gonna give this to Mike.
This is really important for me, seriously, because I love the VA. People know my story. I freaking I love the VA and the vets, but I don't like certain order followers, and we experienced those in the military and outside of the military. And the thing about it is that every day that I left the VA, I found a grace in like these little events I get invited, and I get energized with you guys, and I start redefining my life, because I have a 7-year-old son, and this is important for my son, for him to see that I'm doing something with my life, So thanks.
Hold on a second, let's get this out of here so you can see it.
Mike, you have to frame it.
That's
That's
the most important thing.
I've got like a Dallas Cowboy cheerleader.